ceremony dictates reality, and that is why we have things like graduation ceremonies and things like that. And that is why you do a diaper ceremony like you do in Andrea's book, because you're telling them you're not a baby anymore. It's like an actual ceremony. Like, you're not a baby. We're done with diapers. We're going to throw it away. Diapers are gone.
Potty training time is overwhelming for most parents. And for me, I am truly trying not to dread this time as my daughters are quickly approaching 2. And thankfully, amidst my struggle, I was able to phone a friend. And if you're new to the show, this is Mothering Holistically, where we aim to amplify everyday moms' voices, creating a relatable space to share stories, practical tips, and inspiration. We empower moms to embrace every season of motherhood with confidence and pursue their dreams with resilience. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlini, a mama finding balance in motherhood because balance is key when mothering holistically. So no matter where you're connecting with us, please subscribe and give us feedback as we continue to try to make this podcast motivational and helpful for you all. So as I stated, starting the girls, no idea where to begin. I'm just so happy that I was able to find Mrs. Erica, who is also a wife and a mom of 3. She balances being a homeschool teacher, certified EC, potty training coach through Go Diaper Free. So please give a very warm welcome to Mrs. Erica. So hello, thank you so much
Hi.
for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. So for potty training, what you are looking for is a click. And so you're going to start with daytime potty training. And one of the things that Andrea recommends in the book that I'm 100% behind is starting with what she calls a diaper ceremony, where you have them ceremonially throw a diaper in the trash. Did you do that when you did your potty training experience?
No.
My husband, when he was in Chinese philosophy in college, one of the things they talked about was ceremony dictates reality. And that is why we have things like graduation ceremonies and things like that. And that is why you do a diaper ceremony like you do in Andrea's book, because you're telling them you're not a baby anymore. It's like an actual ceremony. Like, you're not a baby. We're done with diapers. We're going to throw it away. Diapers are gone. And that does help tremendously, because it is a very pivotal moment for them of like, oh, like the diapers are gone. And that is another reason that I recommend you do it all at once. Some people can't do that. And if you can't do all at once, then I would set, again, calendar, 2 weeks. 2 weeks of daytime, and then that should be plenty to start nighttime potty training. The window in which children can be dry through the night is between 18 and 26 months. That is the ideal time to do nighttime potty training. I had one client who took away nighttime diapers at 17 months, and I said that was not a good idea. And that kid was dry without any dream peas or anything from that point on. And I was like, I didn't know that was possible, but kudos. Like, good
Thanks
job.
for showing me the impossible.
I know, again. So you start with daytime, you do your diaper ceremony. I would start in the morning when they wake up and they're fresh. And then what you want to do is you're trying to get them to click that pee and poop go in the potty. So that is going to look like kind of hovering, but not hovering, being a little bit cool with it. You've got like an area set up where you're not super worried about a mess, because what you don't want to do is completely overwhelm yourself with messes. Like I said, I have a superhuman tolerance for pee. So prep ahead of time, piles for towels and spray or whatever you're going to use to clean up. Paper towels are awful. I would go and buy some really like thrift store beat up towels, anything you can find like that, or ask your family if they're getting rid of towels and things. Or post on Facebook like, hey, I'm looking for free towels that are in really rough shape, because those absorb so much better than paper towels do, and it's not wasteful. But, pile up your towels, be ready for it. And then when they first wake up and you take their diaper off, you're going to put them on the toilet to see if they need to go pee. And then from there, you don't want to go... You can offer the potty, but I wouldn't do it more than once every 45 minutes to an hour at the absolute most. One of the things that people do as a mistake in the beginning is they overoffer the potty. Like every 10 or 15 minutes, they're like, Or, it's been 30 minutes, I'm going to put you on the toilet. And all that does is make them not want to sit on the toilet, because we're not practicing sitting on the toilet, we're practicing going potty. So if it's
Okay.
around that time frame, you can try to put them on the toilet. If you need to go to the toilet, like, you can go to the bathroom. And if you have little potties, I'm not really a fan of little potties, but like, they have their time and place. So if you get two little potties and you have a toilet, you can put them on the little potties, you sit on the toilet and pee, and then they kind of like can do it with you or not. Totally fine. But it gives you a chance to use the toilet, because that's going to be difficult when you're potty training twins, to have a second to yourself. And then, I know, just reality right there. So they then go from, like, if you see them start to pee while they're standing, you want to make sure that there's a toilet very close at hand. So I would usually grab the one that had like a back lid thing to it, and just grab it by that and stick it behind them, and then either put them on the toilet or grab the
Okay.
insert and put it in front of them to catch the stream. Because the idea is just pee goes in the toilet. It doesn't necessarily have to start off with like we sit down and then pee goes in the toilet. As long as they get pee goes in the toilet, you are making progress. So
Okay.
as the click can look like a couple of different things. It can look like, if they're very advanced, walking over to the toilet, sitting down and peeing in it. It could be something like they pause before they start to pee and then they glance at the toilet, kind of a thing. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that they've got it 100% and they're doing it on their own. It just means that they now know pee goes in the toilet. And
Mm.
once that click happens, you move on, because again, we're not hurrying, but we're moving briskly. Because I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you're trying to learn a skill and you get bored, you're not really going to stick with it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
it's going to get discouraging. It's not fun anymore. So from there, you start to do very short clothed outings. And this comes from the EC side, because there are easy catches in EC, and one of them is coming in from outside. So let's say they both pee in the toilet, or have an accident. So you know that they're empty for a little while. You're going
Hmm.
to go outside and have them be commando to start. So like, commando outings is how you start. And you can be outside for like 15-ish minutes, 15, somewhere around there. You can gauge it yourself. It's harder with twins because they don't go to the bathroom at the exact same time. So you're
Yeah.
going to want to base that off of the amount of time since the one who went potty first is. So,
Okay.
and then you come in from outside. And when you come in from outside, you take their pants off again. You offer the potty, see if they need to go to the toilet. We're not holding kids on the toilet. We're not making them sit for extra long time or anything like that. It's just
Okay.
when they want off, they get off. While
Hmm.
you are working on trying to get these catches, to keep your sanity, some of the things you can do are work on independent skills. Those to start are going to be things like mounting the big toilet, which can be a very fun game, of like, step stools, handholds, however, like your toilet setup is going to work. That's another thing I have to help people troubleshoot all the time, is like, they're like, well, my kid can't get on the toilet. It's like, they can. You don't have the right setup yet. We're going to figure that out. So
Hmm.
they
Okay.
can work on that in between potty time, so that it's not just you standing over them with a toilet, like, oh no. Other things that they can work on, is clothing manipulation. So, like, if it's a non potty time, that's when you want to practice getting on and off the toilet and pulling pants up and down. You'll get to a certain point, and you'll see this in the book. So you'll go from like naked at home training to commando outings to commando at home. And when you get to commando at home or on your outings, they might have an accident. If they have an accident, one of the things I like to have people do is, put them into an easy to clean up place like the bathtub, and have them try to get their pants off themselves if they aren't good at clothing manipulation yet, because it is
Okay.
much, much harder to get wet pants off than dry pants. And if they can master it when they're wet, don't let them become overwhelmed or completely frustrated with it, but let them struggle a little bit, if that makes sense. And like, let them know it's
Hmm.
okay. Like, you're just going to try this a little bit, and mommy's right here, and then I'm going to help you, and it's okay.
Hmm.
So, but those independent skills go a long way. And yeah, I think that's most of it. It goes faster than you think once you get started. And like I said, once they get it, they've got it, and then you're like, I can do anything. You know what I mean? Like, I can teach them to use the potty, I can teach them to read, I can do whatever.
Right. I know. It's,
Yeah.
and of course, like being thrown into motherhood with, in my case too, but I'm sure with singletons, it doesn't really matter. You're a first time mom.
Hmm.
It's understanding like all the things, all the milestones, and like you're telling me different tricks on how to do independent things. And my daughters have been like handing me clothes and things, and I didn't know that I could use that as like a game of like, okay, let's try to take off your clothes. And it sounds so like, of course you need to teach them how to do that, but stuff that you do every day, it's just like, are you smarter than a fifth grader? You forget that stuff. And it's like, that's right. Okay, how do I break this down to ABC? And
Mhm.
I'm glad that you're bringing that up. So thank you. I really appreciate that. Okay, so we talked about daytime. So how
Mhm.
do
Oh,
we
sorry,
start
nighttime.
to, yeah, how do we
Yeah,
start to migrate into nighttime?
100%. So some people, so my friend that was a twin mom that lived here, my twins were potty trained, and then she was like, "Oh, like maybe I should do that too." I was like, "Yeah, you should do that too." Um, and for her twins, I was like, I explained dream peas, which I'll get to in a second, and like how we do all those things, and she was like, and they had never woken up dry before. I'll preface this with that they had never woken up with dry diapers, was what she told me, and she was like,
Hmm.
I don't really want to do that. So I'm just going to take half of your advice and see how that works. And it worked out great. So this is what I recommend now. So the first, I was shocked. So the first night, what you want to do is put them to bed without bottoms on. So like you'll put them in their bed, no pants, just like a long sleeve shirt and like a fuzzy blanket or something like that to keep them warm. And when like I was potty training my twins, we had some Halloween shirts that had like glow in the dark pictures on them, and they shared
Hmm.
like a double-sized bed that was on the floor, like a mattress on the floor, because they weren't in their
Okay.
cribs. And that was so helpful because then you could see where they were without turning the lights on because their shirts glow in the dark. And then you could just,
Mm.
pro tip right there, if you can find some like Halloween
Yeah,
shirts
that
or
would
something,
really help.
glow in
That
the
would
dark
really help
sticker,
my husband
something.
too.
Oh, I know. So what we would do was, or what she did, sorry. So she put her twins to bed in their cribs, naked from the waist down. And then when they woke up in the morning, their cribs were dry. They were dry. She picked them up. She put them on the toilet. They peed. It was like never had to use a diaper again at night. Just totally done. No training,
Wow.
nothing.
And is this after did she also do the diaper ceremony before doing the night
hmm
training or no?
Yeah, well, yeah, she started with daytime potty training. So we got like the
Oh, okay,
basics
okay,
of the
okay.
daytime stuff going. I spent like 2 days at her
Okay.
house and we like, we kicked it off. And then this was like the second or third night. I was like, okay, like let's, move on to the next step. Cause again,
Oh,
brisk,
okay.
brisk pace. So yeah, they just were dry. They used the toilet, no problem. So from then on, I think I told her from there to go to commando at night, like just pajama pants, no diaper, dry, no problems there. So with my twins, they were not dry. So I semi did that the first night. I put them down. I asked people if they had any extra sheets because I prepared for this. So preparation,
Right.
9/10 of the law. So I did layering. So I did fitted waterproof sheet over the mattress, and then I did puppy pads, and then I did fitted sheet, puppy pads, fitted sheet, puppy pads. And I think the first night I had like 5 layers on that bed. It was I was very worried. I was like, there's two of them. They're each gonna have two or three accidents. Like this isn't gonna be enough. So I think the first night they only had like one or two accidents. It like, and that was the worst night. So I was like, okay, they're not dry through the night yet. So I watched Andrea's video. She has a video on Dream Peas, but the gist of
Okay.
it is, this is where like you said, your kids wake up at 7 because 7 is the natural wake window for children, plus or minus an hour.
Okay.
So if they wake up, just for everybody to know, if your children wakes up at 4 or 5 in the morning, they are not too close to the natural wake window to put back to bed yet. Like they can go back to sleep and sleep for hours. The natural wake window is 7. So what you want to do is figure out approximately when they're peeing, and then you go in. We had our little potties by their door, and so I would grab one, my husband would grab one. We just walk in, gently set the little potties down. They knew the sound because their brother we were doing EC with him, so they knew that as
Okay.
like a sound association for pee. I don't know if that had anything to do with this, but we would go in, find a twin, like, because you're just, it's dark. You don't want to turn
Right.
on the lights. You don't want to wake them up. Is a dream pee. The idea is they do it while they're asleep. So you pick them up very
Oh,
gently, like, carry them over, set them on the toilet gently. And I would just have them on like a hold and like lean over and then go, psst, and then they would pee in the toilet. And then you just like gently pick them
interesting.
back up and lay them back down, tuck them back in, go back to sleep. So we started doing, like I said, had a newborn I was feeding. So we started doing
Mm-hmm.
dream peas for them at 11 p.m. and 2 or 3 a.m. I can't quite remember, but somewhere around there, just because that was when I was already
Okay.
awake. Again, know your season, know what works good for you, work within those parameters. So we would go in at 11, pick them up, potty them, go in around 3, pick them up, potty them. And then we started moving those times closer together until we had one time that was around 1 a.m. And then we
Okay.
pushed that out. And like we're moving these by like 20, 30 minutes at a time to get closer
Oh,
together.
okay.
And then we have one night pee around 1 a.m. And again, 20, 30 minutes at a time. We pushed that out until it was like 4-ish, 4:30, because you don't want to get too close to the natural wake window. If you get
Right.
too close, you're going to wake them up for the morning. So it was around 4:30-ish, I think, when we stopped doing the dream peas. And that was good enough to get them to morning where they were dry all night, because not all kids are going to wake up dry one morning and be dry forever. A lot of them, at least from what I have seen, it is between that 18 and 26 months where it is much easier to do the dream peas, to train them to slowly push out their pee to morning time, and then they're dry through the
Mm.
night. It is something you can train. And
Yeah.
I normally
Okay.
recommend people try that around 20 months, like 20, 21
Okay.
months. So if you, like, let's say you try, like, you start in a week and then
Uh-huh.
you give them a week or two of daytime and then you decide you're going to do nighttime, that's going to be closer to 21 months. But let's
Okay.
say they're peeing 3 times in the night or 4 times or some absurd number of times. And you're like, they're
Mm-hmm.
just not ready for this. Just do it. Try it every 2 weeks after that. So take 2 weeks off to recover and then try it. I once had a client, and by the time she came to me, she had been doing dream peas for over a year. And I was like, no, no. And just to be very clear, a dream pea is a temporary tool to help train your children to be dry through the night. It does not mean you wake up to help them go to the toilet all night long for any length of time because you need sleep. So
Right.
yeah, 100%. So if it does, like, if you do not see any progress over a few nights, because like I obviously saw progress, we were pushing those together and then we pushed them out. It went fine. That whole process took less than 2 weeks to do the
Okay.
whole thing. So if you get like 3 or 4 days in and you're like, I'm exhausted, they're still peeing 2 or 3 times in the night, it's not consolidating, absolutely take a break. Take at least 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks, I put it on your calendar like that, and then revisit it, because that's the other thing. We as moms are not always going to get things right away, but it doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
we stop trying. Sometimes we
Right.
just need to regroup, something like that. So again, printed calendars. I know you probably use your phone because you're probably a normal person, but like printed
No,
calendars,
no,
like
I like
where
printed. I
everybody
literally
sees.
have my printed count.
Oh, good. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I need pen and paper. It's so funny. I tell my
Yes.
husband all the time, like, I need pen and for some things, like my brain needs that.
Paper's great. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's
yeah. I like
extra,
pen and paper.
that's a whole neural thing, but like there's extra connections in your brain when you actually write things
Mm-hmm.
out instead of typing them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, like for memory
yes.
and stuff. I know, and I'm
Hmm.
like, it's hard for me. Like, I'm about to get a Kindle, but that was another thing. Like, our house was running out of space, but then I'm like, I don't want to give up my books. I want to start a library one day, and all those things. But anywhu, I like
Yes. Yeah.
paper.
Hmm. I get it.
Okay, so what about do you recommend like pull-ups? That way it's not like the snap or anything like that, or
No,
just like they can pull it down?
no.
No.
Sorry. Pull
Okay.
ups are very expensive diapers.
Oh.
We're sorry. So, pull ups, that's a whole thing that Andrea talks about. Um, I know. Sorry. So, I'm totally in the like diaper cult now, but, so I know pull-ups, I'm going to say, were invented with the intention of making potty training last way longer than it needs to and making it way
Okay.
harder than it needs to be, because the longer your children are in diapers and pull-ups count as diapers, the more money the diaper companies make. They have
Right.
absolutely no interest in helping your children get out of diapers because um, they don't make any money once you're
Right.
done. So, um, yeah, no pull-ups, no padded training pants. So I know that
Oh.
might be shocking for some people to hear. That is another thing that like exponentially drags out potty training times is those
Mm.
padded potty training underwear.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
stupendously counterintuitive, but that's why you start with naked training. And that's why you also do outings with them when they're still not like potty independent or anything like that.
So does
So,
that like include like what they get embarrassed that they peed on themselves in public? Is that what helps?
oh, no, 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 no. And we're not doing like a shame thing. So it's not, no, sorry.
Oh,
It,
okay. I'm like, because I know that
sorry,
they,
no,
I
no.
know I saw
Yeah,
her
okay.
on I saw her like talking on a podcast, Andrea, and she
Hmm.
basically was saying like, they don't want to go, in their home. They don't want to go in their bed. They don't want to go in their bath where they're cleaning themselves.
Hmm.
So I was just curious if it's like they peed in public and they were like, oh.
Oh, okay. No, no, no. Sorry. I see where you're going with that. No.
Hmm.
So, and that's another thing with EC. Like that was one of the reasons I was so successful with my son was because I also, because I had twins, I wore him a lot, and your baby
Mm.
doesn't want to soil you either because we're mammals and we want to stay clean. So he would push off of me when he needed to pee. And so when he would push off of me, I just like unclasp him, turn him around, he'd pee on whatever, and then I just put him back in. Simple. I'm shocked I was not covered in pee more often, but I wasn't because he didn't want to pee on me. So no. So what she's talking about there is that like humans are predator prey animals. So we are much more, even as infants, aware of our surroundings when we're in unfamiliar places. So I don't know if you've ever
Mm.
noticed that, but like if you go into a restaurant or you go into an unfamiliar place, you're paying much more attention to like the people that are around you, where the
Mhm.
exits are, things like that as an adult, because especially when you're responsible for little people, like you
Mhm.
have to know in an emergency what to do.
Yeah.
So, same thing with kids. Kids are much, much more likely to hold it and to signal you when you are away from home because when they are at home, they're in their comfy space. So, we aren't paying
I see.
attention. And some of the things that we as children are not paying attention to are our body signals that you're trying to tell us. And that's another reason we
Okay.
don't use the training underwear or pull ups or anything like that because those add extra layers. And the extra layers make you somehow like generally less aware that you need to use the toilet. So like if there is air
Mm.
and fewer layers, you will find that you have fewer accidents. And that was one thing
Mm.
like with my son with his nighttime potty training. If I would put him like my twins, 2 weeks, they were done, underwear, pants to bed, zero problems. Him, if I put underwear and pants on him, accidents. 100% of the time.
Interesting.
100% of the time. If I put him to bed commando, no accidents. So, I mean, I did that until just recently. I just recently let him start wearing underwear to bed, like with his pajama
So,
pants.
oh, okay. So it's just no underwear with your pajama pants. How do you like? Maybe I'm just like this person, but we put our daughters in sleep sacks. Do you recommend like removing that and just
Well, if
doing like
they're
how do they stay warm?
no, 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 you're good. If they're 20 months, I'd probably try a blanket at that point. Um,
Okay.
it's probably time to ditch the sleep sacks. You also want to be able to get up. I know, I'm sorry, like again with
No,
the
yeah.
autonomy and the skills and stuff, but like it's hard because like we get really attached to those things. I know we called ours uh those were their mermaid sacks because we would watch like a mermaid show and we were putting them to sleep when they were little babies. It was mermaid time, so we put them in their sleep sacks to make them mermaids. Um, but yeah, they probably love a fuzzy blankie. Like
Okay.
you know what I mean? And that would, you can also turn up the heat in your house a little bit because, again, it's a temporary tool. It's not going to be forever. So the
Okay.
goal is to get to at least where they are dry through the night, commando. And by commando, I mean like fuzzy pajama bottoms kind of a thing.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
so yeah,
Okay.
I hope
I
that
like
makes
that.
sense.
No,
Yeah.
it does. It makes a lot of sense. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever, whatever tips, I'm gonna try
Oh, no.
it.
Yeah.
And
100%.
honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Like everything that you're saying and the way that you're explaining it, it makes a lot of sense. And I've always been the type of person to be like, what did they do back in the day? What did
They
they
didn't have
do
this. Yeah.
before
Well,
diapers were
hmm,
created? What did they do before cell phones? That's always
right.
been, those are like those questions that I'm just always like randomly saying, like, this has not always been this way. We were thriving and surviving, way
Yeah.
before this. So
We were a lot
I really,
stronger. Yeah.
yeah, and I like what Andrea talks about with it's life. It's the way we've always been, and it's actually new age that has
Hmm.
made us think otherwise.
Well, it's how people are in most of the world. That's one of the funny things. I've worked with a lot of people internationally also. Yeah, but it's really funny when like I had one client who's from Brazil and she lives in the Netherlands, I think. And so she got a lot of pushback with potty training, which I thought was hilarious. And she loved it though, because she was like, she'd just tell people it's my culture because she's from South America. It's my culture. And then they would just immediately be like, oh, okay, I can't say anything. It's her culture. So not just like she actually just wanted the potty train. She just wanted people out of her business. I love it.
It's my culture. Okay. Leave
So,
me alone. No, I really appreciate that. And I also I really, really appreciate the care of, having it work for you. Of course, don't take advantage of that work for you type of phrase, but
mhm.
also know we understand that being a mom is overwhelming and we understand that you have a lot of extra things on your plate. So, we will, like you said, make creative ways to make this work for you. I really appreciate that because I'm like, all right, this is going to be a little bit hard, but to know that it's okay to take a break if I need to. And it's
Mhm.
okay to regroup, especially with night times and things. But I am excited though that I am still within that window. So I
Oh,
don't feel
you're
like
good.
I'm lagging
No.
too bad. And my husband is game. I mean, he is
And that's the
100%
most
we need
important
to
thing.
do this.
Like
Yeah.
you cannot like overstate how important a supportive husband is and like
Hmm.
all things, but like it is so helpful when you have somebody who's on board with your weird alternative lifestyle choices, as most
Yeah.
people would put it, and they're just like, we can do this. And then it's like, we're a team. This is great. Like it's gonna work
Hmm.
out.
I know. And he's like, well, because, we want to have more kids. And he's like, we're going to be doing that EC from day one. And I'm like, Lord, hopefully we
Yes.
don't have twins again.
Well, if you do, just do the split like we were talking about. You have
Yeah.
like an AM and a
Yeah.
PM and like and then there is like the whole side of even with some people do start EC like in the hospital from the get-go. Like, I know Andrea was one of those people. Like some people are just like, we're in the hospital. I brought my top hat potty. This is what we are doing. That is not most people. I'm going to say that's not like 99% of people. Most
Hmm.
people, you have a baby and then you focus on connecting and like just like which EC is a part of, like I said, but like just the basics because you need to recover. You need some time. You need to
Yeah.
rebuild some strength, things like that. So be gentle with yourself. Like wait a couple of weeks or waiting a couple of weeks especially isn't going to set you back. It's not going to hurt you. Motherhood is not a race. Like we're not all, you don't get a prize. You know what I mean? It's not,
Yeah.
I potty
Yeah.
train. Your kid's not going to be 22 and you're not going to walk into a room and be like, I had that kid potty trained by X many months. And you know what I mean? Like, there are some things like this, which will basically just be for us. But yeah, it's not, take care of yourself because, like you said, you can't pour from an empty cup and you can't take care of anybody else if you don't take care of yourself
Hmm.
first.
Yeah.
So,
And last thing, the mom that, because I also heard, what Andrea said. She was like, I thought kids were disgusting and I didn't want to do the whole potty training thing. So when she found EC, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like you said, she got into the hospital and was like, so what is that? If someone wants to go about it that way, if that is a motivator for them to have children using the EC method, what do they
okay.
need to, as a newborn, from day
So,
one, what do they need?
yeah. So, newborns, honestly, you can use anything because if you think about it, people all over the world practice EC. They just don't call it that because that's just what you do
Okay.
with babies. A lot of people don't have running water or real toilets or things like that. And they're not just
Mm.
constantly covered in poop. Like, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's how
Yeah.
we imagine third world countries, but like, they're cleaner than that. They have soap. Like it's not as bad as we might imagine it is. Like it's still terrible, but it's not that. Just sorry, just don't get me wrong here. But yeah, so some people start with like they'll get all the gear. Here's the thing. You don't need any gear to do EC. You can, like
Okay.
all things, like all the twin things, I'm sure you know, like they want to sell you something for
Yeah.
everything. You can do
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff with cool things, but you don't actually need
Mhm.
anything.
Need
I
it.
had
Yeah.
somebody come over to my house that I was teaching EC to, and I had a mixing bowl that I didn't use, and it had like a rubber base, and I gave her that
Yeah.
bowl, and she's so funny. She said, "I'll give it back to you when I'm done." I said, "Please don't. Like you can keep that bowl, throw it away when you're done." It is because she didn't want to like she didn't need to get a whole bunch of things to get into it. I mean, you can start EC with
Right.
a bowl. When my son, when they thought he was I'm trying to remember what that was.
Please
It
don't.
was it was after it was after they didn't think he was terminally ill, but it was we were doing EC. I'm trying to remember what that was. He was probably like 6-ish months old. He had to
Mm-hmm.
have an ultrasound for something, and they were like, bring him with a full bladder. And then the lady on the phone laughed. Sorry, there's also a whole medical side to like the pros of EC with. Sorry, this is just one example, but she was like, bring him with a full bladder, and then she laughed. She's like, just kidding. He's a baby. You can't bring him with a full bladder. I was like, oh yes, I can. Sorry. So took him to his ultrasound. They like did the ultrasound thing, and like halfway through he started signaling that he had to go potty. And I was like, 1 second, because they didn't have a sink. And so I took him over to the trash can, popped his diaper off, held him over the trash can, and he peed in the trash can. And totally, it was hilarious. Totally freaked the lady out. She got the images she needed though. And I was like, sorry, he just didn't want to pee in his diaper. So we're gonna use your trash can. I know. I'm sorry. Same thing with like my twins at one point. They thought they had a UTI, but they were already potty trained. So they were like, well, you can't get a clean catch. And I was like, I mean, we can. Like, so there's a lot of things that you can do if you potty train your
Wow.
kids. But from the hospital, you can use their trash can. Like I use the trash can for that ultrasound, or you can deck out. So you can get like a top hat potty. They sell like cozy things that go around the lid of the top hat potty. A top hat potty. I'm so sorry. It looks like a top hat, like Abraham Lincoln's hat, where it's like flat and like they're teeny tiny because they're for little babies. But the idea is like you can either nurse or you can like do the classic EC hold where you have their legs and they're
Mm-hmm.
in front of you with their back against your chest so that they're secure. Or like in arm, kind of like you would do with like holding two babies at once right here. And then you can
Okay.
put the top
Mm-hmm.
hat putty under them. But you know how the meconium, I think that's what it's called, meconium, like that first poop that's super
Yeah.
sticky,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that one. So a lot of people will start EC with that because it's really hard to wipe it off your baby and it makes them really uncomfortable. So like they obviously signal that they're going to poop because it's their first thing that they're going to do and it's really uncomfortable. So they'll try to catch that in a potty and then don't even have to worry about it. Another thing I learned from having a child in the NICU is that Aquaphor, that like stuff that you put on
Mm-hmm.
tattoos,
Yeah.
if you put that on your baby's bottom, the meconium
It
doesn't
wipes right
stick
off.
either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It does. It does.
I know.
That's what we did. Yes, what we did. And it, yeah,
Brilliant.
it
I
wiped
know.
right off.
I know. They
Yeah.
did that in the NICU and I was shocked. I was like, why does everyone not know this? Like,
Or you can use, for us crunchy moms, you can use, organic coconut oil. It works the same as well.
yeah,
So,
same
for
idea.
moms
But
who are
yes,
like,
if
I
you
don't
don't want
want
to
to
do
put
either of
that.
those things, you can just catch it in a toilet. But yeah, they don't tend to, from my understanding, because I didn't start with a newborn, but they don't tend to signal quite as well as like brand new babies. But like starting a few days in, they will really start to signal because you can basically either
Mm,
potty train or like toilet train your baby from birth, or you can teach them to use diapers. So all babies are born signaling that they need to go to the toilet because like
mm.
I said, we're mammals. They don't want to soil on you or where they're sleeping or anything like that. So they will give various signals, like they might claw, they might wiggle, they like might have like a special cry. Like that was one thing I noticed is like, when your baby is hungry or when they're tired or like their different cries, they have a special cry for when they need to go potty. And if you respond to those signals in the first 3 months, they will continue to signal to you. If you ignore those signals for the first 3 months, they will learn that you want them to use a toilet, like a diaper as a toilet, and they will stop signaling you. So people can get started in EC after 3 months. It's just a lot easier between 0 and 3 months as like a starting point. After that, their
Okay.
signals are going to be a little different and it might be a little bit harder to catch at first, but once they realize you will respond, they will start signaling you again. It's like the short version
Oh,
of that.
okay. Okay.
So
I like
just
that.
for next babies.
Yeah. And honestly, with what you're saying, I'm thinking back and I'm like, wow, I that's what was going on at that
Mhm.
time. And okay, so I also wiping. I will share a embarrassing story. I would ask to get wiped. I remember, so I'll tell you how old I was. I would like scream to have help. How do
Mhm.
you help your children understand how to wipe? Especially, and most of the time, it was for number two.
Poop. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Sorry. I probably say poop too much. Poop. Sorry. So I know I talk about potty stuff too much. So for wiping and things, some of the things that you're going to want to do is those independent skills. Always start with mounting the big toilet first, followed or done in tandem with clothing manipulation, because those are the
Mm-hmm.
things that are going to prevent them from going on their own. So like my son,
Okay.
he could pull his own underwear down and he could get on the toilet. He could not get off the toilet. So he also didn't have a lot of words at like 14-ish months. So he would just start
Okay.
shouting because he was on the toilet and he was stuck and he went potty. So I would just periodically like hear him be like, okay, I'll go get that kid off the toilet. Um, but that's so with wiping, you would do that after you have those two skills and they're you can practice it. So like if they're a girl, you'll teach them to very like to wipe from the beginning, but here you also always teach them to wash their hands. So this is the other thing. Like people have a very hyper aversion to all things pee and poop to the point where they're like infantilizing their children way longer than they need to, because what if they get poop on their hand and they're 4 years old and they wipe their butt? And it's like, that's why you teach them to wash their hands. That's what soap
Yeah.
is for. 100%. So you'll teach them because they're small. That's the thing, right? They're really small. So it's not like they're gonna like stand and balance like you would and like wipe front to back, like
Right.
from the backside. So you'll start with a really quick, like teaching them how to basically dab, like their vulva. So like toilet paper,
Okay.
like front to back. We always do front to back,
Right.
gentle in the front, and then just drop it in. For poops, you will let them, I'm assuming you'll have some sort of a stool by the toilet. You'll let them get down off the stool so they're on solid ground, because children obviously don't like to balance or be uncomfortable when they're up off the ground. It's a very
Right.
uncomfortable position for them. So you'll get them to come off onto the ground so they're on solid footing by a wall so they can hang on to something. And then you will teach them to like squat. This is going to sound silly, but like their limbs are so disproportionate to their size at this age. It's too hard for them to reach. So you can teach them to squat and then wipe again from the back, but front to back. One thing that I have a lot of parents do is like, do you wipe first and then they wipe second? Because that gets rid of most of like the poop mess, if that makes sense. It's going to
Okay.
be cleaner for them. So the way that you start is like it's a gradual transition. So you wipe first to clean up as much as possible, and then they finish. And then as they get more and then you teach them to wash their hands. Always wash your hands. And then as they, I know I don't have to say that, but I'm gonna say it.
No, I mean, sometimes
As
you do, you know.
yeah, because it's gonna
Sometimes you do.
like the first, I know. So it's in all the restaurants, like wash your hands. So yeah, so the first probably many times that they wipe, it's going to be really clumsy looking, and you're not going to correct them. You're going to let them like get used to the positioning, get used to how that feels, things like that. It's a slow transition. So once they kind of become good at like holding the toilet paper, getting to the correct spot for wiping, things like that, then you are going to slowly start having it be you wiping less, them wiping more, until you get to a point where it's they wipe completely and you check.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they wipe, you look, and you're like, you're good or you're not good, but usually you're good. And then usually from there, like with one of my twins, she always wanted me to check, even when way past when she needed me to. And so I started doing it like half the time, then like a quarter of the time. And I would just be like, I'm busy. Like I'll be there in, 2 minutes or whatever. But she's impatient because she's little. So it was too long. And then she'd come and like stomp in and be like, I wiped and washed my hands and I've been done for ages. And I'm like, sorry, next time. I'll get you next time. You know what I mean? Gradual transition. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I hate that I mean, like I said, it's embarrassing to know that I remember that,
Well,
and my
yeah.
siblings bully me about it, but
Well,
but
sometimes, I
I
mean, yeah. My husband had
okay,
polyps when he was 5. And they
okay.
only like he had like a huge number of them. Like he had to have surgery to get them removed, but they only
Hmm.
found that because his dad had to help him wipe. And there was blood in his stool. So sometimes it's good to at
Oh,
least check. So even when your kids are independent, like periodically, just for health purposes, it's good to go check. Like you never really know what's going on, if that makes sense. So I
yeah.
know you say it's embarrassing, but it's another one of those like independent skill things of like, it's always like, it's good
It's
to
okay
check.
as a parent.
It's
Make sure
it's
they're
okay
okay.
as a parent. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you got to check because nobody else is checking that. Like they go to their physicals
Yeah.
and things and they're growing and they're fine and you never really know what turns are going to take place. So, um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so always wash your hands. Sorry, short version of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I've seen people online, share how they've like brought out a doll and they put like peanut butter and they show their child kind of from that type of perspective. Do you agree with that, or?
So I don't have social media, so I've never seen that.
Oh,
That is
oh,
fascinating.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
people
I
have
have. I get the picture. It's interesting.
mhm,
I mean, you could. I don't see a problem with that. I have had. So, two things. One really very important that I have forgotten to say this whole time is that like with accidents, it is okay to show disgust with the mess. It is never okay to show disgust with a child because a child isn't doing these things
okay.
intentionally. So just to be like super clear with that, like you can be like poop doesn't go on the floor because poop is gross, but don't ever be like you're gross because you pooped on the floor. Like just to like
Hmm.
clear delineation there because we don't want to like because it's just inappropriate.
Make
Like
them
they're a child
insecure.
learning a skill. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we
Yeah,
want to build them up, not tear them down.
yeah.
The second thing is when you don't do EC, your child has been trained from the time they were newborn, like we were talking about, to use a diaper as a toilet. So
Hmm.
one of the things that is very hard usually for potty training is poop because the sensation of pooping in a toilet is completely different than pooping in a diaper. When you poop in a diaper, it gets smushed up against you and it's like you don't feel it fall away. That dropping away feeling can be terrifying to children. And that's like a real legitimate fear. So I would not belittle that. Like, and then we'll get back to the peanut butter. I'm so sorry, but like super important. So I have had people because they don't understand what's happening. It's a completely foreign sensation. The diaper is comfortable and safe because that's how it's always felt when they pooped. So like we have Play-Doh exercises that we do sometimes where like you make basically a log and then you can show like the sphincter where it like pinches off and then it drops to kind of show
Hmm.
them what's happening there. That's one of the main ones. But yes, if your child is afraid of pooping, that's very, very normal, something that can totally be
Okay.
addressed. It doesn't mean that they're not ready to potty train. It just means that they are uncomfortable and unused to it, and it's very normal. For wiping with peanut butter, I think that does make a lot of sense. I think you would get into a similar issue with proportions with dolls. I don't know of a doll that has a long enough arm to wipe. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're trying to show them,
No, it's not the
or is
doll
this
that
more
does
of
it.
a,
They just kind of
oh,
just like to kind of show the baby what they like. I guess there's, from what I gather, it's like this is what you would look like, and this is how you would wipe, and like understanding cleaning something off of baby because they have to wipe away the peanut butter and kind of understand like, okay, we're cleaning this off, I guess.
I mean, it's a, how do I put this? It's a different angle. It's a different sensation. Like it's peanut butter doesn't
Yeah.
quite feel the same as poop. So I see the idea there. I think it's too,
So it might be a little
abs,
confusing still.
I think it's too abstractualized for children because children are very literal. Like they do, like
Yeah,
I,
that's true.
yeah, very big on fairy tales, things like that. Like those are all very good for feeding an imagination. But I think children, because they lack a lot of things like empathy and being able to like put yourself in somebody else's shoes, I think that might be a little bit disorienting, if that makes
I
sense.
see. Yeah.
So like if you were gonna play the play zone thing with your kids for bedtime and they're 20 months old, I wouldn't recommend that you do it as like a role reversal, if that makes sense, because they're not gonna
Hmm.
understand playing mom and you're them. That would be more for like a 3 or 4 year old. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes
Similar thing
sense.
with the peanut butter,
They
but
can't say like, "Oh, I'm the doll."
I don't think maybe they can. Maybe they're really advanced and they can. I don't know. I don't know if my kids could have done that. Like my kids played mommy with their babies and they like put them up under their shirt to like feed their babies and stuff like that, or hold them over the sink and go psst to make them use the and like, oh, my baby peed in the sink, and I'm like, good job. You know what I mean? So like, kind of, but I don't know. Like, I'm not a how to. This is gonna sound terrible. I'm not a big fan of doing fake things. Does that make sense? If you're going to
Hmm.
teach them to wipe their butt, just let them wipe their butt and then teach them to wash their hands. If they get poop on their hands, it's going to be easier to teach them to wash their hands because they're going to see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a
So,
lot of sense.
like, well, it's like a Faustian bargain. When we try to make things easier by doing things like that, we kind of miss out on opportunities we would otherwise have to teach a different skill. Yeah. And so,
No, I
and
appreciate that.
yeah. And then the same thing with like poop accidents and stuff. Like, that was one thing I had to do with one of my twins because she was like intentionally pooping in her underwear at one point. Was same thing with accidents where I was like, if they're wet, like put them in the shower and have them pull them down. There was a person on a forum who worked in a daycare, and she said what they did was they put kids in the showers and then they gave them baby wipes, and they were like, well, you try to clean it up, and she never did it again. Never did it again. Like it took like twice, I think. Because the first time I was like, this will not work because she loved to clean and I thought she was going to really enjoy it. Second time, she didn't. She wanted to go play. That's the thing. There will always be something your children want to do more than clean up an accident. Um, so if you have the natural consequence of them having to have some sort of share, obviously not a proportionate share because they're like, or like a proportionate share, sorry,
Right.
because they're children, you do most of it. But if they have to stop playing or something they want to do something they don't want to do, like clean poop off of themselves, they're going to choose not to poop on themselves if it's an intentional thing, if there's nothing like medical going on. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I feel like now we have we have
Sorry.
addressed a lot more
I know. I'm sorry. Yes. We just
of
needed a whole
different
other
questions.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's a
I
big
really
topic.
appreciate, yeah, it is. It is, and I am gathering a lot, and I definitely I feel like what I can do to prepare now is like you
Hmm.
said, get a bunch of towels, spray bottles, things like that, and then of course I can start while I'm reading the book and getting all my
Hmm.
supplies, I could actually start doing the independent training with allowing them to put on their clothes, take off their pants, that type of thing,
Yep.
as kind of like a precursor. So I love those different tips that you've shared because I'm like I can do that at least
Yeah.
in preparation. I don't have to just not do nothing until it's okay. Now I have all my stuff. Now we can start. We can even start
Yeah.
inching into it now.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Because potty
No
training
pun
isn't like,
intended.
I know it's not like a usually, unless you are potty training much older children, it's not like a one and done event. Like there are skills that go with it that you need to teach
Hmm.
usually. So,
Hmm.
but 100% Montessori YouTube videos, like even things that don't seem related, like the Montessori coat flip. Kids love the Montessori coat flip. If you don't know what that is,
No, I don't.
YouTube. Sorry, yeah, they
Okay, I will
like you
look it
lay the
up.
coat
Yeah,
on
I'm gonna
the
look it up.
ground and then they put their arms in and then flip it over and their arms just go straight in. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yes. And then you don't have to deal with winter coats. Like that's a whole thing that's coming up right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's crazy that you just mentioned that because one of the girls that I interviewed, Courtney, I just saw her like post a video of her getting ready in the morning, and her daughter did that, and I was like, oh, how cute! And then you bring it up, I'm like,
that was a coat
it's
flip.
so
Yeah.
funny how things connect. Yeah, yeah. So as soon as you said
Hmm.
that, I saw the mental image.
Yeah.
All right. So now, is there any last words, any last tips, or anything with the mom feeling overwhelmed because October is on overstimulation and overwhelm, which is natural parenting milestones that are just very overwhelming. So, any
Hmm.
last tips for us parents?
I think it's just kind of what I said earlier. Like when you're feeling overwhelmed, start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and then suddenly you're doing the impossible because
Yeah.
it is just those baby steps for your kids as well as for yourself. Like you have to start somewhere, and starting somewhere that might not seem like it's going to get you somewhere very far, like just clothing
Hmm.
manipulation, is going to at least kickstart something, and that that
Okay.
that will lead to great things.
Yeah, yay. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I'm feeling so much more prepared, so much like I have a to-do list now that I can get together, and then I'm going to make my husband listen to this so that he understands. And then I need to get the books, and of course, for everyone listening, all the things that Miss Erica mentioned, we will have linked in the description. So the books, and she can help you online and things like that if you need a little bit of extra support and a little bit of extra professional guidance. So we have Miss Erica, and I'll have all her information.
Sorry.
For those of you that want to connect with me and follow me, everything is at Kaylee Berlini, so on YouTube and all social media platforms. But to stay in the know with the Mothering Holistically podcast, you can follow Mothering Holistically on Instagram and Facebook. All sneak peeks, all upcoming episodes and things are there. So if you just want to know about what's going on with the podcast, definitely follow Mothering Holistically on Instagram. And then if you learn something, or if you are completely enlightened about your journey right now, if you're in the trenches as a new mom, or if you are about to start potty training and you learn something, please share your stories about what you took from this hashtag Mothering Holistically podcast, and we will shout you out because this is a community and we are all here to support one another. And if you like this episode and feel that it resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up by clicking that like button. And if you feel it could encourage someone that you know, please share it while also hitting that notification bells to never miss a weekly episode. All new episodes come out at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturdays. Definitely subscribe or follow. And so until next time, remember to mother holistically and thrive authentically. And also that balance is key with mothering holistically. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlini, and together we're winning. Bye, y'all.